Hello and welcome back to the Dugout podcast. I'm your host, Alexander Cruikshanks. This week, I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Ethan Barlow and Laurie Finlayson. And we've got our first ever guest on, freelance journalist, has worked with the BBC and STV. He created a award-nominated short film in 2009, I believe. Michael McEwan, good to have you on, mate.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, Alex. It's good to hear that you've done your homework about me, so that's good.
We're really happy to have you on. Good to have a guest on and get a different voice, so people can like not just listen to us rambling on every week. Good to have you, boys. Ethan, how are you?
Yeah, good. As you said, it's great to have another voice and face on the podcast. I don't know why it's taken us this long, but hopefully it's a sign of more things to come in that aspect. But yeah, I'm good. How's yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm excited for this one. Got a lot to talk about. Laurie, how's yourself, mate? You doing good?
Yeah, pretty good, obviously, for me and indeed my team. A bit of a quiet footballing weekend, but yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. Obviously, there's nothing really to cover for Kilmarnock, but there's plenty to cover. We'll kick it off because with last week's midweek game, Celtic's catch-up game, Celtic 6, Dundee nil. A fantastic result, Ethan, and yeah, Celtic bringing the gap back to 13 points.
Yeah, a fantastic result for Celtic. A good solid performance. But for Dundee, absolutely terrible back to back. 6-0 defeats. Obviously, they had that loss to Hearts last weekend.
Yeah, you mentioned, didn't you, that it was the first time this season they'd lost by 5 goals or more, and they've done it two games in a row.
Yeah, I think I might have jinxed them on that front, but I think we speak about it all the time with Tony Docherty and how he sets up his team. That they can sort of have those games where they score loads of goals, like we'll go on to, but they also concede lots of goals. And when you're playing against Celtic, that can happen. But yeah, as you said, a really good result from Celtic.
Yeah, Laurie, I don't know if you caught much of the game, but Celtic just showing why they're so far ahead.
Yeah, I didn't catch it, but I will say Celtic, whenever you watch them, they do appear like literally streets ahead of any competition in front of them in Scotland. I mean, just they are incredible. I mean, obviously Celtic are just, they look like they're going to win the league. I can't, and I mean, it's just one of these ones where, you know, Celtic fans have maybe been a little bit negative in recent weeks, maybe with underwhelming in their eyes transfer window or whatever. But it's just they're still an excellent side. And I mean, as what you say about Dundee, I mean, the two 6-0 losses in a row to Celtic, which there's no real shame in, and then a resurgent Hearts team. That is a worry. But I mean, they do bounce back. Dundee. We'll get into that later on in the show. But I mean, yeah, just Celtic are just cut above, despite some frustrations shown towards the end of January.
Yeah, you mentioned the window there. That actually brings me perfectly to my next point. I'm going to come to Michael for this one. So obviously Jota's been brought back in, for I think it was 9 million or 8 million around there. Fantastic signing. I'm sure the Celtic fans are buzzing to have him back. But since that, Maeda's already been having a good season, Michael. But he seems like he's really stepped up his game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a Euro one where you don't really want to see what Jota is like for the fit, because don't forget that he's not been playing for like what was it, 12 months or maybe more when he went abroad. But yeah, it's exciting for Celtic fans as well, to see him, but and Maida, but also Kun as well. But like Laurie's right, because it's frightening for like other teams to have a look at in Scotland. Because I mean, no matter who goes into that Celtic team, whether you're coming on as a sub or whether you've not played for 2 weeks or whatever, they always know what their job is. So that
Mhm.
they're getting well grilled by Brendan Rodgers every week. in a way, it's like robots. If you know what I mean, if you take somebody out the team, and if you bring somebody in, they know exactly the job that the previous guy was doing. So yeah.
It's it is really like frightening actually. You know, with those guys, and like you said, Jota's not even fully fit yet. And I'm sure when he gets firing, he's just going to be as frightening as Maeda and Nicholas Kuhn have been this season. You know, and it's scary. And Adam Eder's starting to score goals as well. Obviously, they've got a great midfield. They've got a decent, well, they've got a good defence. I'd say. I'd say that's maybe where the most of their issues are. We like say Austin Trusty and Scales maybe having off games, but they have been dominating domestically this season, and they've just continued on. So that's kind of like the quick recap of the league game. Now we can get into the Scottish Cup action. Ayr versus Hibs on the Friday night wasn't a great game. What there's not really a lot to talk about. There were some chances. George Oakley, I think, missed quite a big chance. And maybe they should have converted. Martin Boyle had a lot of like poor finishing. I think Hibs, the fact that there was no VAR, obviously there was a championship ground. Hibs were maybe denied a penalty. Laurie, I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, and it did look as if it could have been a Hibs spot kick. It's one of those where it maybe wasn't quite in the Stonewall penalty category, but it's one of those, if VAR was an operation, maybe they would have, taken it back and given Hibs the penalty. Although, and maybe this is maybe strange coming from me, 'cause I mean, everyone knows who I support, and to be fair, I'm still making it pretty clear. You know, Ayr were actually Ayr were actually the better side, I would argue, albeit in a pretty poor game for maybe about at least the first half of that, if not arguably the first hour. Ayr Ayr did themselves proud, and I'm sure Scott Brown will overall be pretty satisfied with his team's performance. But of course, maybe Hibs' kind of Premiership experience and know-how does eventually shine through, and of course that late goal from Rocky Bashiri is what sees them
Yeah,
into the quarter final.
I think as well, Ayr, would be quite disappointed with the manner they conceded the goal because it wasn't a great goal to concede, was it?
No, it wasn't. Sorry, Laurie, I don't know if I've just cut you off there, but I was just going to say, I think, as you said, Ayr will be disappointed, but they'll also be sort of proud that they can go up against Hibs, one of the most, and probably the third most informed team in the country at the moment.
You can
And
make an
Ayr,
argument for most informed team because we'll get onto it later, but
yeah,
you know,
you could definitely. But Ayr, obviously, they're challenging going into this game. They were top of the championship before Falkirk obviously got that win with that Scott Arfield returning hat trick on the Saturday to move them back top. But Ayr are in the running. Scott Brown's done a great job there. But yeah, he was unlucky against his former team. But yeah, I noticed some minor things I picked up from the game. I noticed there was a Celtic and Rangers loanee starting for Ayr, Lenny Bear, who I think nearly had a nightmare. No rhyming intended there. But Hibs never took the chance, and Cole McKinnon as well, obviously on loan from Rangers. But I think about the goal, the most surprising thing for me was seeing Kieran Bowie. I know he's come off the bench a few times, but I forgot he even existed after his injury earlier in the season because he looked like a promising signing for Hibs. And then he gets that injury. I think it was for the Scotland under-19s. But yeah, Rocky Bashiri's making a sort of strange habit of getting these late goals. Got it
yeah,
against Hibs. Got it against Aberdeen, which kind of catapulted Hibs' season, and then obviously
against
got it against
Rangers.
Rangers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, Hibs are through, and obviously they've got a difficult tie, but you would say they're one of the strongest teams left.
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. Michael, what did you make of this game? I don't know if you caught it, but just give us your thoughts on it.
Yeah, it was really a bit scrappy, but like Laurie won't like me for saying this, but I felt like Ayr just kind of like edged it as well, and like Hibs, like pick it this way, that won't be in the goal or the season category. It was one of these kind of like scrappy goals as well.
Yeah.
But I very enjoyed watching Air United as well, because obviously we don't get a chance to see them apart from the World Championship game in the Friday night as well. But David Gray and Hibs has basically turned it round now, and it's a long way to go in the season. I know this, but they can still make the top six.
Yeah, definitely. They have turned it around, and they seem to have solved their goalkeeping issue. Jordan Smith had a flurry of late saves in the game, and he's been performing really well for them.
Yeah, he had a sort of strange one at the end where he sort of palmed it up, but he managed to catch it in the end, and no air player got an end it. But yeah, he's definitely better than Joseph Bursic, although I don't think that would have been very hard.
Is he still there, or is he on the bench? Or
Yeah, I think he's on loan from. Is he on loan from Club Brugge? I think.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
He's on them somewhere. I don't know if Michael, maybe if you know where it is, but I think he's still on Hibs bench, but I don't see him getting off the bench.
no, no, definitely not. But yeah, Jordan Smith, part of Hibs' sort of revival this season, and yeah, they'll be happy to be through. And well, Michael's words are scrappy game, but they got it in the end. Right, we're starting. I think I've taken my notes in a funny order here. We're starting with the late kick-off on the Saturday. Celtic 5, Wraith Rovers 0. And this was all Celtic, some really nice play. Nicholas Kuhn had an early chance that sort of swerved away from the top corner of the goal. And then Dyson Maeda continuing his fantastic season, making it 1-0. Callum McGregor hit the bar with see when he's shaping up outside the box this season, you think it's going to be a goal, and he was unlucky with this
Terrifying.
one. What you?
I'm saying it's terrifying when he does that.
Yeah, yeah. Wraith had a chance on the breaks, and Asalo made the save, making his full debut. Jeffrey Schlupp had a chance. It was kind of weird. I was watching the highlights and I was like, "Who's this guy?" And I'm like, "Oh, of course, Jeffrey Schlupp." But yeah, good Premier League career, and I'm sure he'll be a decent signing for Celtic. Maeda had a goal chopped off, but then shortly after made it 2. Luke McEwan made it 3. Yang made it 4, and what was a good game for him, a goal and 2 assists. I think maybe this is what he needs to kickstart his Celtic career. Maeda made it 5, and Michael, business as usual for Celtic.
Yeah, just quickly, I know you were saying about Callum McGregor there, and I know this is a stupid comparison that I'm going to make, but it reminds me of Tom Rogic a wee bit, as in terms of he's not scared to shoot outside the box as well. And like I've noticed a big difference on McGregor since he's retired from the Scotland team. It's weird how it does that to people as well. That Scott Brown was the same. But yeah, I mean, as you were saying, Alex, the business as usual. They left off from Wednesday night, and you round off a few chances there, and it could have been 7-0 at the end up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, job done, and kind of like move on to the next game now.
Yeah, there's not really much to cover in this one. I guess it's just that when what it should be when a team like Rangers or Celtic get drawn against a lower league side. I emphasise the word "should" there. But it just not really much to talk about, Ethan. But like I said, just Celtic doing what Celtic do.
Yeah, as you said, it should be the sort of result you expect from these games. I think that's Celtic's 6th game, maybe scoring 5+ goals, or 7th this season. But to rotate 9 of the players, I think Callum McGregor and Dyson Maeda kept their places. Obviously, you'd imagine that with the expectation that Dyson Maeda maybe wasn't going to be available for the Bayern Munich game, but obviously he is now. But yeah, Ben Rodgers keeps his 100% record in the Scottish Cup. A few of the points that I kind of picked up. Daisen Maeda again, just brilliant again, and probably the best player in Scotland at the moment, you'd have to say, on current form. I think his goals, 21 this season. His third hat-trick for Celtic. And as you said, another one, Yang. Sort of, he's not really pleased all Celtic fans. I think there's been a kind of split debate between Celtic fans, but I think he was involved in more goals in this game than he was across the rest of the season, which kind of shows that he's maybe not had that end product, which he's still only young, so maybe that'll come for him, and maybe, as you said, that this sort of games like this will catapult his career. But yeah, it was pretty perfect from Celtic. Rotated 9 players, still got a solid performance with a solid result. The only kind of cautious one would maybe be Paulo Bernardo, obviously come off in the first half. But I imagine that's just a precaution from Brendan Rodgers.
Do you think he intends to play him against Bayern Munich?
No, I think now, for maybe the first time this season, I think Arne Engels and Real Hatate are the sort of nailed down choices alongside McGregor in the midfield, I'd say.
Yeah, Arne Engels is actually, in recent weeks, has really impressed me. He was coming under a lot of criticism. There's obviously rumours in the January transfer window, but he seems to have stepped it up, and he's really made that position his, and he's sort of showing why Celtic shelled out that much money for him.
Yeah, definitely.
It's quite weird. No, sorry. It was quite weird. Brendan Rodgers got his press conference today when they said about Maeda playing tomorrow night, because he's free to play, and he said and they basically basket laughing, because I think that was the whole point of Maeda getting the game on Saturday, and Maeda was on the bench on Saturday night, where Maeda would get played. But now you've got the big dilemma of, will Maeda play in the game tomorrow night? So I think Rodgers has got a bit of a dilemma on his hands there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'd agree with that as well. And yeah, it is kind of funny when you think about it, when obviously, he's planned for resting Ida to get him ready for Bayern Munich, but you don't know, because Maeda's been playing so well, and I don't think there's any way that Jota doesn't play. Surely.
I don't know. I think Maeda and Kuhn are the first two names. I think they play.
What we're saying is, would we play Maeda through the middle? That's what we're saying.
Yeah, I think it's between Jota or Ida who's going to drop out. But as Michael said, he obviously planned Maeda not to be available for Wednesday or tomorrow as we're recording. So that's why he played. But yeah, he gets a hat-trick. And he's still obviously sharp. So, I mean, you get that sort of positive side to it. But yeah, a strange one that they gave a 2-game suspension and then rescinded it. But yeah, I think, we'll maybe give our thoughts before the Bayern game, but I think a 2-game suspension for what he done was maybe a little bit harsh. There we go. The Celtic get lucky that he's back.
Yeah. Just quickly, Ethan, for you, did Celtic appeal it, or did UEFA kind of step in?
No, I think Celtic appealed it. Yeah, that's what they said in their statement on the sort of socials, that they appealed it and they came back to them and said, so yeah, it's a good appeal, because I wouldn't have even thought to appeal it.
You were so happy because our mate put it in our chat, and your reaction was like, "Oh my god, is this real?"
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I think that Maeda could be such a game changer. We'll obviously get onto it when we do the sort of preview at the end of the episode.
Laurie, just quickly before we move on, if you get anything to add. I know it's not really a major talking point in this Celtic versus Wraith Rovers game, but
no, I think it's just, I mean, you kind of feel bad for Wraith Rovers, but for anyone going to Parkhead, it's difficult, especially when Celtic still put out a fairly strong team. I mean, to be fair, Celtic don't have a weak side, but I mean, Celtic did take Wraith Rovers seriously. I mean, and it reflects in the scoreline. But of course now, all eyes shift to the Bayern game for them, and who knows where that's going to go. I mean, I certainly wouldn't rule Celtic out, but we'll get into that later on.
Yeah.
One thing I was just going to say about Laurie's point about not underestimating Rafe, I think that might have been why he kept Callum McGregor in the team, because the last time he sort of rotated the team a lot against Falkirk, it obviously didn't really go to plan. Celtic got the job done in the end, but it took until late on. So I think he sort of kept McGregor in to keep that tempo. As he's obviously the only sort of natural player to that position. But yeah, that was just my last point.
Aye, okay. Right, moving on to Livingston versus Cove Rangers. Livingston 3, Cove Rangers 0. There was a couple of early chances, and then Livy took the lead through McGowan, and then up until Livy's sort of two late goals from. Oh, I'm saying this from highlights because I'm in work a lot during the weekends, so I try and see as much as I can. So, but up until Livy's two late goals, Laurie, it looked like it was all Cove.
Yeah, I mean, Cove Rangers will feel a little bit hard done by that. Maybe they didn't take the tie to extra time. I mean, Livy, by the way, are not a bad side. No, we'll get into the draw a wee bit later on. But Livy are a team that could maybe be, well, shall we say, dark horses for Hampden. But I mean, Cove were very, unfortunate in the game. Of course, they are a side who probably have ambitions of getting to, Livy's sort of level in the championship. Of course, they were there briefly a couple of years ago, and it just didn't really work out. So, it's a tough one to take for Cove, but the Lions roar on, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah, Yenge with the two late goals. I just think, in this game, Michael, I'll come to you. I think Cove sort of maybe their own worst enemy because there was a lot of poor finishing.
Yeah, no, I only saw the highlights as well, obviously, and yeah, Cove were the better team, but as one manager kind of said this weekend, we had about 27 chances in goal, but we still get beat. I wonder who that was, but I just wanted to touch upon David Martindale for a minute or two. Like last season, I had this debate on the show about like I kind of feel sorry for Martindale in a way because not many clubs are looking for the likes of Marvel and all that. I'm looking at Martindale because he's doing a brilliant job at Livingston with a scaled back budget and not a lot of home support as well. Um, I think that's the only thing that goes against Livingston at times, and maybe that's why you've not saw a lot of Livingston games on the TV enough like a night because of the fan base. But I just feel like David Martindale is doing a brilliant job. In a way, like Alex, I think like Livingston reminds me of Hamilton in a way because when Hamilton was up in the top flight, they always defeated the Ogs at the end of the season, and that's what Livingston are doing at the moment. But yeah, I mean, 3-0 and fluke of the net trend, and I think they've got another home game against St Johnson. So
Yeah,
I suppose it's all about money for Livingston as well.
yeah. I think with the draw, we'll obviously talk about the draw a bit more in depth later on, but with that draw as well, Ethan, I think Livy would fancy their chances with a trip to Hampden.
Yeah, definitely. It's They're obviously going to have the advantage. I tuned into the highlights and my eyes were blinded by the artificial pitch. I was getting flashbacks to last season when they were in the Premiership. But yeah, I thought last season when went down, I thought they were going to sort of stay down. I thought with the finances, and as Michael mentioned, they're obviously not the most sort of luxurious club, and David Martindale's having to deal with sort of what he's got really. But they're well in the race for the winning the championship, and obviously they are a few points behind Ed Falkirk, but they're in the race for the championship, and they could be going to the Scottish Cup semi-finals, which is a great job. It just shows testament to what David Martindale's doing. But I agree with what you all said on Cove. I think they done very well, and they were just unlucky. sort of small margins. I know the scoreline doesn't look like that, but small margins sort of kept them out, and they're obviously in the same position in League One. They're third in League One, and they can sort of maybe have a go at going for the Championship again. But yeah, a good win for Livy, a good result, and a strange that Yenge scores a double on the same week that Maeda scores a hat-trick, because that happened last season when Celtic played Livy. So yeah, that was a weird coincidence.
Yeah. I was going to say earlier when you said Maeda gets his third hat-trick, I was going to say, is that his only one not against Livingston?
No, Livingston, Aberdeen,
Was it
and
Aberdeen he got a hat-trick against?
yeah, Aberdeen in
On
the cup
the
semi-final.
semi-final, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 3. It might be more than 3, but it's definitely at least 3.
I don't know, maybe it was a double, but I'm fairly certain he scored 2 hat-tricks against Livingston. I don't,
Maybe
I,
he did.
I don't know.
Maybe he did. I don't know. But I just remember last season in the Scottish Cup. I think it was the Scottish Cup. I'm pretty sure it was the Scottish Cup, not the Premier Sports Cup. Maeda scored a hat trick, and Yenge scored a double for Livy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds right now you say it. I think I was on the radio that day. I'm sure it was a Sunday, and I'm like, how are Livingston acting doing decent against Celtic? I remember kind of thinking about that.
Yeah.
So I think you're right.
Yeah, I think he scored a hat-trick in one where you absolutely gubbed them, and then he scored a hat-trick in that. I might be making that up, but
Let me see. I'll try and check for you.
okay, right. While you're checking that, we'll move on to Dundee versus Airdrie. And we mentioned earlier, Dundee, they're sort of poor back-to-back games, but they bounced back here with a fairly good 4-0 win over Airdrie. Clark Robertson got the opening goal. Rangers pre-contract signing, Lyle Cameron got the second. McCracken sort of made a good save from a chance for Airdrie. Adewumi got the third. Lyle Cameron made it 4. Airdrie are kind of their own worst enemy in this game, giving away a lot of chances. I think a couple of their mistakes actually led to a few of the goals. Simon Murray nearly scored a really unorthodox goal that would have been fantastic. He was unlucky. Airdrie also hit the bar with a free kick. McCracken had a couple of saves to make, but other than that, it was a good win for Dundee, and a good day for Lyle Cameron. About the only thing positive associated with Rangers from the weekend. Laurie, Dundee, making their way to the quarterfinals, they'll be pleased to sort of get the monkey off their back, to use a turn of phrase, after those back-to-back defeats.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they will be, relieved more than anything, especially to do it in such a convincing manner, albeit against a pretty poor Airdrie side, who, of course, last season, at one point, I mean, I think Reece McCabe probably thought there was a chance they could somehow sneak into the top flight, Airdrie, but this season they've been awful. But that's not to take away from Dundee, because, you know, losing, well, losing 2 games by an aggregate score of 12-0 is tough to take mentally. So to bounce back from that with a convincing win in the cup is only a positive for Tony Docherty's side. I mean, maybe the cup was the distraction that they needed, and who knows as to whether Dundee will now kind of get themselves back on track, because I'm convinced that they're not a bad side. Now maybe not the best in the Premiership. They're a solid mid-table side, but they haven't really, shown that in recent weeks, albeit the fixtures have been maybe a wee bit unkind to them. But
Yeah.
I'm glad there hasn't been too much negative discourse around, Tony Docherty and the job he's done, because he has done an excellent job, although it
Yeah.
has been pretty embarrassing feats.
Well, I think they've shown as well they're not a bad side, with draws up at the ends to Rangers and Celtic, that crazy 3 each game where they fought their way to the lead and were undone in the end. It was a stonewall penalty, but it was just a bit of an unfortunate way for them to not get all 3 points. And Dundee, I think Ethan alluded to earlier, Michael, that with their style of football, it can go one way or the other. And fortunately for them, it went their way.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but like on Friday when I do when I do my show at the weekend, we always pick a kind of like shock of the weekend, and I went for Airdrie just because Dundee get um kind of spanked 12 twice 12 now 12 0 Hearts and obviously Celtic as well, but I mean fair play to Dundee. I mean it was at home. I think it might have been a different story if it was away from home and that plastic surface as well. But I mean, Tony Docherty, that's another manager get overlooked because at the time I was saying to people that it's a fun appointment because you're going from like an assistant manager to first team, and obviously like there's a bit of a gap there between a coach and a manager because
Yeah,
a manager as a kind of you've got to get to be hands on basically every day. You've got to speak to the media, speak to different people, but no, it's did well. Um, and fair play to Dundee. I mean, they put in a professional performance, and yeah, it would be interesting to see if this weekend they're going to kick on now.
yeah. Just you talking about Tony Docherty there actually reminded me when they brought him in. And I wasn't totally convinced. I think I actually backed them to go down. Because I think they had that scenario where they got promoted, and then who was their manager, and he left.
It was Gary Bowyer left as
Yeah,
soon as he got
Yeah,
Gary
sacked.
Bowie.
yeah,
Sorry, Laurie, what'd you say?
Because he effectively got sacked as soon as he got promoted. I don't really know what the Dundee board were thinking, but I mean,
Yeah,
they're going
and
to
then,
in.
and then they
Did
brought.
Giggy not get sacked or the Giggy not get sacked that weekend?
It was that weekend. I think
Uh,
he, if I remember rightly, I think he got the Manager of the Year award because
yeah,
they basically walked the league, but then he got the sack.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
because
weird.
they won on the Friday, and it was a. I think it was a. Well, I wouldn't say walked, Laurie. I'm pretty sure that game was a decider, was it not, against the Queen's Park? Um,
Maybe walked a bit disingenuous to Queen's Park, but they'll be getting their praise later. But
yeah, they will.
he
Plenty of
was
praise.
he was
But
comfortably Manager of the Year, and then they sacked the guy.
yeah, yeah, because I think I remember the one on the Friday. They won the league. They got promoted, and
Mm.
then the and then I think it was the Sunday. I was like in my house, and I kind of popped up on my phone, and I couldn't quite believe it. And I was just talking to my dad, and we were so confused. So yeah, after that, they brought Tony Docherty in, and I actually backed them to go straight back down for the reasons that you actually brought up, Michael, because he'd been an assistant for so long, and I
Mm.
just thought it was a brave appointment, and I thought, I don't know, it just seems like it's got relegation written all over it, but he he's done a really good job in this. They're exciting to watch, and they're unpredictable, and they've got a good system there. They've got good players, hard-working players. Simon Murray's been an absolute menace this season. Just maybe he has been scoring, but just the work he puts in up there. I'm a fan of Simon. But did you hear that? Super scoreboard caller. He called in, and he's like, I can't believe Celtic haven't brought in a striker. I would have taken Simon Murray.
Yeah, I did see that. I did see that. Yeah, I don't think Simon Murray is quite at Celtic's level, but as you said, he's a sort of player that you love to have in your team. He's just an absolute pest for defenders. And same with Scott Tiffany as well. He obviously does the sort of Simon Murray sort of pressing, and they get a goal off it. But as you said, a good bounce back for Dundee because it's not always easy when you sort of, even though Airdrie, as Laurie said, have been pretty terrible this season. They obviously went a wee run recently after they got that 5-1 win over Dumbarton in the last round. And then they've got two wins after that for free on the bounce. So coming in with a bit of sort of form, you could see maybe why, like Michael said, they maybe upset Dundee, but Dundee 4 up by half time. And I think they've done that before this season. I think they were 3 up against St Johnstone at half time at home. But yeah, Lyle Cameron at the centre of most things, as he has been this season. I think that's 10 goals and 10 assists. Obviously, I backed him from
Double
early.
double.
What?
A double double.
Yeah, a double.
For any NBA fans out there.
Yeah, I backed him from earlier in the season, and he's kept going, and he got his deserved move. It was a bit strange that he didn't play at Celtic Park the other night, and he wasn't even in the squad. I've not really heard about why that was sort of a thing, but I don't know if Tony Docherty just took him out of the sort of the limelight. But yeah, Dundee, a good performance, and if they perform at their best, which maybe they haven't this season. They've had a lot of injuries, but as Laurie said, I don't think they're a sort of 10th in the league team. But yeah, a good win, and they'll fancy their chances in the next round.
So moving on to St Johnstone versus Hamilton Accies, 1-0 to the Perth Saints. So Hamilton had a couple of sort of early chances, some poor finishing from Hamilton. There's been a lot. I've said that a lot, but there has been some poor finishing across the Scottish Cup this weekend. It wasn't really a super entertaining game. Mackenzie Kirk missed a big chance, and then St Johnstone got the winner through. Did they end up? Did it hit off of Kimpioka for the goal? Sidibe, was it? Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get called out now, but. No, Sadiq came off Adama Sidibe for the goal, and I'd say a fairly lucky goal for St Johnstone. But yeah, Ethan, not really a lot to talk about in this game.
No, I think this has probably got the least talking points. Both teams sort of struggling in their domestic league. St Johnstone obviously kind of have strung a few good results together, and have sort of closed the gap to the rest of the teams in the Scottish Premiership. Hamilton kind of flirting with that relegation playoff spot, in and out of it. But yeah, as you said, not much to talk about. But yeah, a lucky goal is, it's fair to say that. I don't think Carey's strike's going in unless it hits off Sidibe. But yeah, St Johnstone will take it, and they've got, like Livingston, they've got a decent chance at another Hampden appearance, which you wouldn't have thought of based off their league season so far.
Yeah, it's been an interesting season for St Johnstone, Michael, but they've strung 4 wins together now in all competitions on the bounce. Do you think things could be looking up for them?
Yeah, I mean, I just love Simo Valakari. Listening to him every week, he speaks about the game. You can tell he's very passionate about the game overall. But yeah, I mean, it's again, it wasn't a classic game to talk about. That's maybe why they only maybe showed you about 7 seconds of the highlights and and nothing else. But yeah, I mean, winning breeds confidence, but so is losing as well. But I think Simo Valakari, even though they're still not out of it yet, but if they win more games, you know that kind of breeds confidence as well. And I suppose when you're down at the bottom of the league, if it's a league game or if it's a cup game, you're not expecting pretty football. All you're expecting to do is get 3 points and get through to the next round, and that's what Saints done at the weekend.
Yeah, Laurie, they've also made a lot of additions in the January window, which I think they had to be proactive there. And it looks like a couple of them are already, making an impact. And yeah, as a Kilmarnock fan, we'll give you a wee talking point since you've not really got to talk about your team this week. They obviously, I think we said a couple of weeks ago, we thought St Johnstone were dead and buried. But now, are you slightly looking over your shoulder?
Ever so slightly. I mean, as for Kelly, I don't feel we're in a relegation battle as such. However, St Johnstone are an interesting case because, I mean, as you say, have plenty of recruitment, over the January window. Yeah, they'll maybe forced, but I'm sure some of the players are actually internationals as well. And the guy they've signed on loan from Burton Albion, Elliot Watt, has a fair bit of height, even from the Burton fans, so maybe they pulled off some coups there. But I think Simo Valkyrie, as much as he came in and had a kind of lukewarm start, if you call it that, he was not. I mean, he's very much someone who tried to play football the right way. And obviously, St Johnstone are a team that Kelly can't underestimate too much because um, as much as they are bottom of the league and they have really struggled, um, well, let's just say they've taken 6 points off of Kilmarnock this season, including a 3-0 win on their last visit to Rugby Park back in August. So I am a little bit, kind of wary of them for when they pay their visit to a wonderful plastic surface on Saturday afternoon. So, I mean, and of course, as Michael says, winning breeds confidence. So, St Johnstone will be coming into it in a confident mood, having won 400 pounds, and of course, they won their last 2 games against Kelly. But it does feel like a must win for Kelly. It will still be a must win for St Johnstone as they are still bottom of the division.
Yeah, definitely. I don't really think there's much else to say about this game, so we'll move on to Aberdeen versus Dunfermline. 3-0 win for Aberdeen, progressing to the quarterfinals. What you'd really expect of them, but the cup seems to be the only place they can actually win at the moment. Papa Gay opened the scoring. Obviously, he had that terrific start to the season and was sort of derailed by an injury, which was unfortunate for him. Alexander Jensen made it 2-0, and then Kevin Nisbet made it 3. I think Ross County had not Ross County. Oh my God! I was reading my notes there. I was saying I was looking at Ross Doohan making a few saves, and I've said Ross County. Ross Doohan had a couple of saves to make. I think it was McCann for Dunfermline. It was a bit selfish when an opportunity he should have probably squared it to his teammate. They had a couple of opportunities. Nisbet hit the post. We thought Dunfermline had a penalty, but VAR checked it and realised it was outside the box, so it was a free kick. But yeah, Laurie, I'll just come back to you. Fairly straightforward for Aberdeen in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're Jimmy Tulane or if you're an Aberdeen fan, you're kind of watching games like that, and yes, it's against maybe, low league opposition, but you're watching games like that thinking, where's the performance been in the Premiership since what, November? I mean, where the form really fell off a cliff. I mean, I was one of the people who was all aboard the kind of Jimmy Tulane Aberdeen kind of hype train at one point, but I mean, something was just really not right there. Of course, you would hope that the cup could maybe rekindle something in Aberdeen. But as you say, kind of straightforward, routine win. I mean, a home tie against low league opposition is pretty much what we can ask for in the cup. But that's what you kind of hypothetically always pick out. And
I
I
feel
mean,
like you guys have been taking jibes at me all the episode.
yeah, well, no hiding that one, Alex. But yeah, we that is almost what typically he was one, although maybe not for everyone. But what I would say is Aberdeen have always got that little bit of trepidation now. Of course, a couple of years ago with that loss at Darvel, you always kind of wonder could, as much as it's not a comparison as such, but could Aberdeen slip up? But to be fair, they did their job on Sunday, and they're only 1 win away from a return to Hampden where they want to maybe right some wrongs from earlier in the season, perhaps.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
sorry.
No, I was gonna add on Laurie's point. I think Aberdeen. I watched the game, kind of not seriously focusing right in on it, but Aberdeen looked like a team that hadn't won 14 league games on the bounce. They kind of they played well by their recent standards, but they sort of lacked that confidence, that full kind of swiftness, and I think you've seen that with Kevin Nisbet's miss. If any of you have seen that, it's a pretty poor one where you think he's just going to hit it first time, and he sort of takes a touch and messes about with it. Where I think if he's sort of in a confident run of form, he just takes that first time and finishes off the game at that point. But yeah, a good win for Aberdeen, expected against lower league opposition, but obviously you've got to go out and do that. And good for Gay to get back amongst the goals. Obviously, he's had a difficult time with that injury, and it's his first goal since September. Obviously, he's been injured since then, pretty much. and then their new signing at right back, Jensen, gets a goal as well. And then Nisbet eventually does get his goal, which for Aberdeen fans will hopefully be a sign of things to come. And I think I've seen a lot of Aberdeen, a lot of people giving Aberdeen stick for their Scottish Cup draws over the last few years, saying they get a lot of easy ties at home to lower league opposition, and obviously that sort of lower league opposition trend at home's followed on. But they'll have to go out there and do it, because you can't just turn up and expect to beat these teams, as we've already seen, especially with Queen's Park, who we'll get on to it, but they'll fancy their chances of going to Pittodrie and pulling off another upset.
Yeah, Michael, Aberdeen are another one who have been pretty active in the window. I'll just spin my question to sort of the league form this season. Do you think if they can get a win in the league, they can sort of kind of turn it around and still go for that third place position? Because they're not far off, considering their really poor run of form.
I think what we were saying earlier on about Dundee, I know Dundee's in a totally different situation, but like coming off 2-6-0 defeats and winning at the weekend, but what I was saying was that it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to kick on at the weekend, and I think like that's the same as Aberdeen. I think like if this game was away from home, it might have been a wee bit of a different story. But Aberdeen would be glad that the go through to the next round and the game was at home. But yeah, it's going to be quite interesting how they're going to go on at the weekend, because Jimmy even though Laurie was saying that Jimmy Killeen was, I mean, at one point Aberdeen fans were saying, but I've got to win the league. And we knew that wasn't going to happen, but, it was good funny. And now they might be saying, well, I've got to stay up, so football's a funny old game.
Yeah, and speaking of that, actually, their next fixture is actually away to Dundee. So the two teams that we've kind of mentioned here. So it's one that they'll both be really looking for a win. So yeah, Aberdeen, made it through, and they'll be hoping to build on that. Now, we'll just skip over the next game and we'll go to. No, I'm joking. Rangers versus Queens Park. Rangers 0, Queens Park 1. Rangers with a lot of chances in the game. I think it was 28 shots to Queen's Park's only shot, which resulted in the goal. A fantastic goalkeeping performance from Ferry and between the sticks for the Spiders. Saved a penalty, made some really crucial saves. The one at the end, tipping it onto the bar and over. And yeah, Queens. I was at work and I saw like the last sort of half hour, and just from what I saw, it just looked like Rangers lacked any sort of creativity, any sort of imagination, and they were just trying to hammer the door down, and they couldn't. Ferry wouldn't let them pass. Queens Park took their chance. I'm gonna. Is it Drozd? Is that how you say it?
Well,
Drozd.
I'm not too sure. Draws. That would be my best guess.
Super sub. 2 minutes on the pitch. A really good finish from him. Nice, cut back and put it away. And that's all they needed. And Rangers couldn't find the answer. And yeah, I'm quite, and that's Rangers season's over in February. Laurie, I'll just come to you. Great win for Queens Park. Terrible defeat for Rangers.
Yeah, it's one of these ones where there's always, in every cup competition in every season, there's always a memorable result. There's always a shock. I mean, I mentioned a few moments ago, a couple of years ago, when Darvel Aberdeen, and no, it's not that bad to be fair, Alex. It's not that bad, but it's always the result that
Still
everyone
pretty bad.
remembers, be it fans, be it media. Maybe that's the one for this season. It's an embarrassing result for Rangers, and they don't need anyone to tell them that, and none of the players do. Philippe Clement certainly doesn't either. But it's a credit to Queens Park and to Callum Davidson, who, of course, let's not forget, is a previous double winning manager. And of course, his St Johnstone side beat Livingston in the League Cup final, if memory serves. Of course, those two will meet in the next
They,
round.
al-
But
they
really
also
excited.
put
Yeah,
they also put Rangers out in their Scottish
Mm.
Cup run as well, so he's
yeah.
kind of a kryptonite in the cup. It seems.
I think Callum Davidson Rangers Cup Kryptonite. Never thought of that, but there you go. That sounds like a good title, Alex. But I mean,
Yeah, I won't be the one writing that story, but if anyone wants to pick that up,
yeah. But credit to Queen's Park. Good luck to them in the next round. But I mean, for Rangers, it is just really poor, as you say. Maybe no cutting edge, no creativity, just not letting their kind of domination pay. And sometimes when a goalkeeper is having the performance of their life, like Callum Ferry did, there's not a whole lot you can do. And to be fair to Ferry, when we're having a good game, if James Tavernier steps up, take a penalty, albeit I can't lie, a very high pressure penalty, and you save it, you just know that it's going to be your day.
it was a
Yeah,
really good save as well. I'm just sorry to cut you off there, but um, it wasn't like in the corner, but it wasn't a bad penalty either. It was hard and it was at a decent height, but he still managed to get to it, and it wasn't like a trundler, that you
yeah,
can pounce on. It was a good save from Ferry.
yeah, definitely. I think we'll get on to some bad penalty taking in a minute. But yeah, as you said, it was a sort of decent penalty from James Tavernier, and a brilliant save from Callum Ferry, who's the first goalkeeper to keep a clean sheet at Ibrox or Celtic Park this season in all competitions, which is a quite ridiculous stat. Rangers, Dynamo Kiev kept a clean sheet at Hampden against Rangers, but if we're talking specifically Ibrox or Celtic Park, he's the first person to do it, which for a championship team is a ridiculous achievement. Which it just is a ridiculous achievement. The first time they beat Rangers in 75 years. Obviously, a lot of history with Queen's Park, the first sort of Scottish club, 10 times winners of this competition. But yeah, for Rangers, terrible. A really, really poor result. One that will be remembered in 25 years' time, like Celtic's lost to Inverness Cali was, and like as Laurie mentioned, Aberdeen's to Darvel. It's kind of in that same sort of bracket. But yeah, a brilliant goal from Queen's Park, as you say, a brilliant touch and finish, or two touches even, and then the finish. And just a brilliant performance. Ferry just plays out with his skin, saving absolutely everything. As you said, it's your day when you're saving a James Tavernier penalty. I'd not a terrible James Tavernier penalty as well. But yeah, for Rangers and come on, as you said, it maybe as season over, they obviously have that high of the top eight in the Europa League, and getting over that sort of away form hurdle, and then this comes out of nowhere. Clement made 4 changes, so not the most, but Rangers just didn't turn up on the day. Queen's Park defended brilliantly, and they got a deserved result in the end, and they've got another glamour tie coming up, which they'll fancy their chances, as I said before.
Yeah, definitely. It is a really poor result for Rangers. Michael, embarrassment for Rangers. But now there's been a lot of this has been the talk all season about Philippe Clement, and now a lot of fans after this result are really gunning for him. What do you think the way to go for Rangers would be?
Well, I think if you were a bookie watching that game, the first thing you would say is, what the hell happened? Because I would like to meet anyone that would put a. In fact, I don't know what the odds were for Queen's Park to win the game on Sunday as well. But I mean, listen, I mean, if you're a Rangers fan, you would say, what the hell's going on? Because like they're performing well in Europe this season, albeit the Champions League was a bit of a disaster, but I think there's more to that than like moving Skegum and whatever. Like obviously that's a kind of different debate for maybe a different podcast. But yeah, I mean, I guess feel though Rangers aren't consistent. Like going away to Hearts this weekend, you wouldn't be surprised if they get beat again. but the away form's not been very good this season. The home form's been okay as well. And I mean, when you listen to the manager, you're thinking, well, have you been watching the same game as like 50,000 Rangers fans in that stadium? Because he came away with statements on Sunday like, oh, we had about 35 shots to go. Aye, but the bottom line is you get beat 1-0. You could have 99 shots on goal and still get beat. The aim of the game, well, I think the aim of the game is to put the ball in the back of the net. And skip for that. I guess feels all that well, most of the videos that I saw on social media, that the fans are beginning to kind of like turn on them as well. But I mean, it's all like blaming the manager, but I mean, you've got to blame the team as well, I mean, when you go get into Manchester the other weekend, you're only like 2 seconds away from getting a brilliant points down there, and then compare that to Sunday's performance, night and day, but I don't know what the answer is. Well, I know what the answer is: money.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me personally, I'm a Rangers supporter, and it's been a funny season, but I can't see them getting rid of him. But I don't know if the grass will be greener on the other side, because we've seen this movie before with Michael Beale and Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, and obviously I don't think they had as terrible results. But I think if you just keep sacking managers and starting again, it's not gonna you're not gonna yield anything from it. We're going to be in the same situation again next year. So I think
it's quick to say that, Alex, that Rangers were too quick to sack Van Bronckhorst.
I think so. In hindsight, I think they definitely were. Obviously, I think it was a 9-point deficit when they got rid of him. But I think now they have the reason they're maybe taking this route with Clement. Obviously, he's got a long contract, so I think I read today it would cost them 1.2 million to sack him. But I think maybe they're trying to learn from previous mistakes. So I think, well, a lot of Rangers fans aren't going to like this, but we're in the midst of a rebuild. We won the league coming up for 4 years ago now, in a great season, but they haven't built on that. And Celtic and Rangers aren't the same. Celtic are in a stronger financial position. They've got a better team. They've got a better manager. And obviously the comparison's always going to be there. But I think Rangers fans, for the time being, are going to need to just like take it on the chin, and we'll ride out the rest of the season with Clement to see where it ends up. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's here next season either.
I think the biggest mistake, sorry, is giving Clement that it's getting a contract for about 3 or 4 years. I think the Rangers board shot themselves in the foot, and it's coming back to bite them now.
Yeah, definitely. I think the reason that sort of came about is because Clement wanted assurances that he wouldn't be out the door with the likes of Beale and Van Bronckhorst, and now it's looking like Rangers have shot themselves in the foot with that one. And yeah, it's a tough one to take, and the league's done, and it looks, if we're being realistic, Celtic look like they're going to win another treble, and yeah, it's not great for Rangers fans. So I think if they can put together maybe a European run, that would be the only little sort of ray of light for them this season. But I think, for Rangers supporters, they're already looking to the next season, and Celtic fans are loving life, sitting at the top, with the League Cup under their belt. They probably are going to win the league, almost definitely. We don't know yet, but the way it's looking, they will win the league. And it looks like they're going to win the Scottish Cup as well. Well, they should, with the quality of their team and how they've been playing. Right, so moving on to the final game, St Mirren versus Hearts, Monday night football for the Scottish Cup. St Mirren took the lead through Michael Mandron, and then Callum Neuenhoff equalised in the 85th minute, took them to extra time, and St Mirren were defeated 4-2 on penalties, Ethan.
Yeah, I think Hearts and St Mirren are sort of. I went with Hearts. I think I gave Hearts the edge, and I think they would come out on top, but I didn't think it'd be as tight as this. St Mirren obviously ahead for a lot of the game after that Mandron goal, and then Neuenhoff, is it? I think that was his first. Well, it was his first appearance in 11 months after injury. I think I heard.
I haven't seen anything like that, but
I think it was, and it was he came off the bench and scored. So a great moment for him. And then obviously, as I mentioned earlier, I think the quality of the penalties was quite terrible, especially from St Mirren. Craig Gordon makes a good save for the first one, but it's like a pass into the corner. It's really, really poor. And Hearts deserve to go through based off penalties. I know it's a harsh reality for St Mirren and their fans. But yeah, Hearts are through, and Neil Critchley's turned it round this season. It seems the same as David Gray has done with Hibs. Both still in the cup, both looking like they're going to secure top 6 as well.
Yeah, definitely. Michael, I don't know if you caught this game, but just give us kind of your thoughts on it.
I think we spoke about most of the games, and most of the games weren't kind of brilliant affairs. But I actually quite enjoyed this game, to be honest with you. Apart from when they went to extra time, I think as a scarp partition to say, can we just go straight to penalties now, because extra times gets boring. But yeah, I mean, I thought this was a kind of decent game. Game of two halves as well. I know that's what an old saying to say, but St Mirren were the better team in the first half. Obviously, Hearts got the bit between their teeth at the beginning of the second half. They got the goal, and you thought, well, they're going to kick on now. But no, I mean, again, I think St Mirren could be proud of their efforts as well. I know St Mirren fans don't want to hear that because you're out of the cup now, but I mean, it was quite good. I mean, St Mirren's a decent team at home as well, and they've got a decent home support as well. Although I would like to meet that guy sitting beside the camera, swearing all night, and the commentator had to apologise. I love that, but no, I mean, I felt this was a decent game. Ethan was right. The penalty kicks was like shocking. Most of them were like passbacks to the goalkeeper.
Yeah, definitely. I was sorry. I was just going to say, maybe the last point, unless Laurie wants to get in or you want to say something, Alex, again. I was just going to say, I think all the sort of games went the way they expected in a way, and a lot of them were sort of, apart from the obvious Rangers losing, but that kind of makes the Scottish Cup exciting, that there is those sort of games that go against the grain. But I think most of the games were sort of a wee bit stale and kind of went the way you would expect. This one, at least we got extra time and penalties. I know extra time. Michael's not a fan of it, and I don't think most people are, because it's usually just a slog of people picking up cramp.
What I'd do, you know what I would do? I'd go to the Euros, take from the Euros when Greece won it. I'd introduce golden goal. I think that would be so cool.
See, I actually really, I'm with you, Alex, here. I really like the concept of golden goal. I'm kind of gutted it was dips. I mean, let's face it. I mean, golden goal is just a fancy term for next goal's the winner, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. But then again, how long? Sorry, how long does golden goal last?
That's
your point. That's a point. But yeah, Laurie, unless you want to get in and mention anything, I'll just run through the quarterfinal ties. We won't give score predictions, but we'll just kind of say who we think we'll go through in each. I think it's too far away to well, obviously it's not that far away, but too far. Obviously things change quickly in football, but unless you want to say anything about the game, Laurie, I'll just run through the quarterfinal games.
Nope, you're all good because I mean, not anything that hasn't already been said. It's been a pretty much non-event penalty aside.
All right, okay. So Livingston versus St Johnstone. Laurie, I'll come to you first. Who do you think's going to take this one and go to Hampden?
I actually want to back Livy.
Yeah, I think so too. Michael.
I was about to say that as well. So, Livingston, yeah.
Yeah, Ethan.
I think it'll be very close, but I just give it Levy with that artificial pitch.
Okay, Celtic versus Hibs. I'm going to go with Celtic on this one. Laurie.
Yeah, Celtic, no cup shock here.
Michael.
Yeah, I can't see any shocks in this one. Home win.
Yep,
Ethan.
I'd
Shane?
agree. Yep.
Right. Aberdeen versus Queen's Park. For the sake of my own mental health, I'm going to go with Queen's Park. Laurie, on to you.
I think you're going to be a wee bit disappointed. Alex are a wee bit down because I think Aberdeen are going to scrape through.
And Michael.
If Queen's Park gets through, I'm interested to know if they're cup tie because they can't play Hampden in the semi-final. But no,
I,
I would be
what
very
dressing room did he get? Good point, Michael. What dressing room did he get?
yeah.
Well, maybe just go to they go across the road to their well, not
Yeah.
even across the road, just go to their
At
home
the,
team dressing room and then walk across.
at the local pub or something.
Nah.
But yeah, I would be very surprised. I would like to see them doing it because of the kind of Glasgow connection and I stay 20 minutes from Glasgow and all the rest of it. But no, Aberdeen for me, yeah.
Okay, Ethan.
Yeah, I want to continue with the Queen's Park story, but I can't see past Aberdeen, even though they've been poor this season in the league.
Okay, right. Final game: Hearts versus Dundee. I'm a bit torn on this one. Obviously, Hearts got the recent drubbing of them. I'm gonna go with Hearts just because of home advantage. Laurie.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one to call, but I think unbelievably, despite the last game, I think it'll be a kind of tight affair.
Mm.
But again, I would maybe go just in favour of the Jam Tarts.
Michael.
I'm gonna, yeah, might Dundee might be thinking about that defeat they had the other week against Hearts. I know it's a different game at Tynecastle as well, but I might go for a wee shock here. Well, maybe if it is a shock, Dundee. But I think this will go to no so much penalties, but I think this will go to extra time, and hopefully we can get a golden goal.
Yeah. Ethan.
Yeah, I think this one's hard to call. I think both these teams can be terrible on their day, but also brilliant on their day. But I can't see past that Hearts result against Dundee last week, so I'm going with Hearts.
All right. Okay, that's our predictions for the Scottish Cup quarterfinals. Moving on to the Champions League preview. Celtic taking on Bayern Munich in the Champions League playoff round. After their finish, their 21st place finish to progress to the top 24, Bayern finishing in 12th. And it's quite a tall order for Celtic to take on. Obviously, Maeda, we mentioned earlier, huge that he's back for this game. For me, though, I'll just come right out and say it. I don't think that's going to make much of a difference. Bayern Munich have really like they haven't been what we've known them to be in recent years. They've kind of went through a bit of a transition period, but they've got some really excellent players. And we were talking about Celtic's attacking front line being frightening earlier. Michael, Bayern Munich have a terrifying attacking line.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, you just have to say the word Bayern Munich and the shivers goes up your back. But I suppose that people, Celtic fans, were feeling that Maeda's out. It's going to be hard when he's out. But because he's playing, it's going to be skill was hard. I think if you ask any Celtic fans, they would rather that the second game. I don't know what it is about European football and Scottish clubs, but I always would want the second game to be at home and Skigget away because that you know what to do. But they'll kind of like half time after 90 minutes. But like if Celtic can take a lead over there or even a draw over there, you never know what's going to happen in the 90 minutes over there. But no, it's going it's going to be a massive game for Celtic. But obviously Celtic's kind of built a bit of a fortress this season by winning the guys Leipzig in the Champions League and all the other teams that they've defeated as well. So you know, and but the fans would need to be the 12th man for Celtic tomorrow night as well. I think the atmosphere is going to be electric, especially when that Champions League music comes on. I've been lucky to be in the stadium a few times when the music's went off and you can actually hardly hear yourself sing. But I also missed the Young Boys game, and I watched it in the house, and it was actually louder on the TV than it was when you're actually at the game. So the fans is going to be important tomorrow night as well. But everybody that we spoke about Jota and Kuhn and all that, they're going to be important as well. But yeah, it's going to be a difficult two legs for Celtic.
Yeah, Laurie, obviously, Michael mentioned it would be crucial for Celtic to take over a win or a draw to Munich, because if they do get beat, you can't really see them going to Munich and doing something, can you?
Absolutely, that's spot on, Alex. I mean, it's not to say they can't get a result in Munich. Of course, they can maybe, I don't know, battle out for a draw or something if they're really lucky. But getting someone at Celtic Park is vital. And of course, Celtic fans often, speak very highly of the kind of atmosphere at Celtic Park, particularly on European nights. And of course, some footballing heavyweights have done the same over the years. And maybe that harks back to Michael's point around would you rather have, Celtic Park play host to the second leg? Maybe you would, but I think getting something at Parkhead is vital for them. Whether that be, as you say, a draw, I mean, even that would be some achievement against, as much as Alex you alluded to, the fact that Bayern are or have been somewhat in transition, are still a top of the side. And I think I think Celtic are very much underdogs here, but if they were to get something, even in this first leg, it would certainly go down as a memorable night for Scottish teams in Europe.
Yeah, definitely, Ethan. I'll just read some names out and then just give me your thoughts. Harry Kane, Jamal Musiala, and Michael Olise.
I think obviously Bayern have got their players. They're strong. They've got a strong team. They're Bayern Munich. They're probably undeniably a top sort of 5 European club. Obviously joint third most Champions Leagues. It's just a name that, as Michael said, sort of sends tingles down your back. It's one of those teams where you get the draw. Celtic obviously get Bayern Munich or Real Madrid, and you're sort of going, didn't really want them. You obviously get the glamour tie aspect of it. You're getting to see one of the best teams in the world. And I think, honestly, if Celtic had got most of the other teams, you might have fancied Celtic's chances over a two-legged game. This is going to be very difficult. I think, as a Celtic fan, I think I just want Celtic to be able to compete with Bayern, still be sort of in the game to a point where it's respectable after the two legs. I think Celtic can cause Bayern Munich problems. Obviously, Bayern Munich can cause Celtic problems. And I think for Celtic to have any sort of chance of progressing, Celtic will need to win tomorrow. I think Celtic will need to be very clinical in front of goal. Although this Bayern team do tend to give up chances, especially away from home in the Champions League this season. And Celtic will need to bide their sort of, no, sorry, getting caught up in my wrong phrase there. They'll need be lucky at the back. Schmeichel will probably need to have an absolute blinder of a game. And you mentioned those players there, Jamal Musiala. He'll be probably the centrepiece of all the attacks they do. He's obviously a brilliant talent and an unbelievable dribbler of the football. Michael Olise likewise, and Harry Kane obviously, the goal scorer, one of the best goal scorers in the world. And yeah, if he gets a penalty, which he has done quite a lot this season, he's had 13 for club and country this season, 43% of his goals, and he's not missed one in 30. So yeah, you'd put your money on him from the spot. But yeah, I think Celtic will need to be very lucky, but I think they'll also need to win this game if they want to have any chance.
Is he taking 30 penalties since he's missed against France?
Yeah, I'm guessing that would be the last one. It must be.
That's mental.
Yeah, but he is obviously very good, and I think if you think of good penalty takers in the world, I think you think of Harry Kane. I know he does get a lot of them, but he is very good at them.
I would normally say James Tavernier, but not weekend there.
Yeah, we'll talk about the stages, missing in the World Cup, missing Queen's Park at home in the Scottish Cup. Both teams both results obviously come with massive scrutiny from the support. But yeah, I spoke to a sort of German journalist, football expert earlier in the week, and he gave me a sort of predicted lineup for Bayern Munich. So it's obviously going to be Manuel Neuer in goals. He was the sort of downfall. He got a red card in their only home defeat this season against Bayer Leverkusen and the DFB Pokal. The 4 other defeats have came away from home, 1 in the Bundesliga against Mainz and 3 in the Champions League against Aston Villa, Barcelona and Feyenoord, which they get beat 3-0, which maybe sort of gives Celtic fans a little bit of hope and inspiration. But Feyenoord obviously a very good team. The back 4, at right back, it could be Sasha Boy, who I think was a previously linked with Celtic in the past, or Konrad Laimer. The central defenders, Upamecano or Kim Min-jae, both of them will play. Rafael Guerrero at left back as Alphonso Davies is out injured. And then in the midfield, it'll be Joshua Kimmich. Obviously a familiar face. He played in the games when these teams last met. And then the young Alexander Pavlovic, the young German midfielder, or Leon Goretzka, the older German midfielder, although he's not too old. And then the front 4, Michael Olise, Jamal Musiala, Kingsley Coman and Harry Kane. It's quite frightening, and this isn't even a sort of all-time Bayern team. This is just a good Bayern team, but they shouldn't be underestimated. They're way out in front. Not way out in front, but they have quite a sizable lead in the Bundesliga. And although they've not been the most consistent in the Champions League, a lot of the big teams have sort of came unstuck. So, yeah, I think it'll be Bayern will have to have an off night, and Celtic will have to be at their best. But yeah,
I think as well that just quickly, like, because we always say like fans can like revel us on Saturday, like revel us. I know Celtic went out the park, but like, before the game, you're thinking, well, revel us has got to take the game in stages, like 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes for. And it's funny because the home team will have to do it tomorrow night at Celtic because of the lessons that Bayern Munich has got. As we are seeing that the shoe on the other foot compared to, like, for instance, Ross County or, whatever, going to Parkhead or Ibrox or, whatever. But yeah, Celtic would need to kick the game in Park tomorrow night, I think, to just can't get a chance, and they even though Maida's playing, but he better watch himself.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think Bayern Munich average the most possession in the Champions League, in fact, so they're going to have a lot of the ball. They're going to want to have a lot of the ball, but I think the high line could possibly leave chances for Celtic. Obviously, Celtic have got Maeda and Kuhn, which I think we think they'll play. They're obviously very fast and very productive this season. And we've got Jota there as well. That's more pace and talent. Or it could be Adam Ida that starts as well. But that happened in the Dortmund game. Dortmund obviously push up very high and like to have a lot of the ball, and Celtic never laid a glove on Borussia Dortmund. So It could go either way. But
Can I just jump in there? You were talking about the selection, and something just dawned on me. When I'll just, as a disclaimer before anyone says anything, I'm not comparing Rangers to Bayern Munich in any way. But in previous games, when Rangers have had the ball and they've been pushing high and they have had a lot of possession and Celtic have been struggling to get out, Brendan Rodgers has turned to Adamida. And we saw an excellent example of that in the 3-each game. It looked like Rangers were going to go on and get there to get that goal. Obviously, they scored the equaliser, but Ida's on the park and Rangers can no longer pen Celtic in because Ida's holding up the ball and he's letting Celtic out and he scores himself. Obviously, Matondo goes and scores that wonder goal to make it 3-each. It was a mad game. But that's one thing that I picked up on, and one thing that I have picked up on with Adam Ida. When Brendan Rodgers needs an out ball, he turns to his number 9.
Yeah, I think that's good because it's more. I don't know if you would agree, Laurie and Ewan, but I think that's where him and Kyogo is two total opposites in a way. Whereas Ida is more physical. Ida reminds me of, well, not the same player as Giakoumakis, but his hold-up play is much better in terms of Kyogo. I think that's the only thing you would say about Kyogo that lets him down at terms of his height as well. And also, but yeah, I mean, that was a brilliant goal that he came on at Ibrox and Miguel Luquiza actually as well. But I just think that well, obviously this is in the last year, but I guess it was almost Celtic fans were writing him off before he was actually here. But I think, I don't know if you would agree with me, guys, but I think Ida was part of the reason why Celtic won the league last season, along with maybe James Forrest as well.
I totally agree with that. Before his sort of recent run, and the guys can back me up on this. I was a massive fan of Adam Ida, and I was actually calling for him to get more games because I really rated him. And then this recent poor run, I thought, oh no, he's sort of fallen off. But he's come back, he started scoring again, he's getting a bit of confidence back. And yeah, I really do rate Adam Ida, and he was a massive, massive part of Celtic's title win. He popped up with important goals everywhere. In the cup final as well, in the Scottish Cup final last season, he scored the winner at a crucial moment in the game. And yeah, this is an interesting one for me because Daizen Maeda is obviously firing on all cylinders. But you'd want to try and squeeze Jota into the team as well. But if he's looking to try and get out if Bayern have a lot of the ball, I think he does maybe the way to go.
Yeah. I think I definitely agree. I think what we might see if Brendan Rodgers has been his usual sort of ambitious self in Europe, sometimes maybe over-ambitious, as some people have said. I think he maybe goes without Ida and goes with the more players that are going to sort of get you up the pitch, possibly. As Celtic, I feel, need to win this game to stand any chance. And then I think maybe going to the Allianz and maybe Celtic nick a win with a one-goal lead or whatever. Then you go to the sort of Allianz and you put Ida up front and you can sort of defend deep, cause problems for Bayern by kind of going long Ida, like they done in Bergamo, I remember, because Adam Ida started and Kyogo obviously came off the bench. And I think Celtic will have to be the performances from at home against RB Leipzig and the performance away in Bergamo dialed up a few levels to overturn Bayern Munich here. It'll be very difficult. But Celtic obviously come into the game with a bit of hope, and the fans come in with a little bit of hope, which is usually what kills you in these games. But I just hope Celtic make a good impression of themselves and show progress in Europe.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was just going to say earlier, coming into this game with a bit of hope. And I think earlier you mentioned the glamour tie. I hate that because a glamour tie is just a way of dressing up that you're going to get battered usually. So
not necessarily, but
I
know.
I know what you mean. Absolutely.
I mean, I think you can maybe back that one up and say that Barcelona came to Parkhead a few seasons ago, and a young man called Tony Watt scored the winning goal. So,
Yeah.
aye, so
Yeah,
yeah.
no, there's definitely occasions where the glamour tie is what it is, but it's. I think a lot of the time it is a way of dressing up, saying you're going to probably get battered.
Yeah.
But I think, I think Celtic will need to work their socks off to get something from this game. But yeah, and Laurie, have you got anything to say just before we move on to predictions?
Quickly going back to your point on Adamina, if I kind of think the guy has been kind of back to being that and being kind of disrespected, and like I remember being one of the guys who was like when he first came in, being like, this is just a panic thing, and I forget even off after Michael can correct me on this, but I kind of can't think of the reason why he was saying. I remember thinking it was a bit of a strange one, a bit of why would you, if I'm not mistaken at the time, loan in a guy from Norwich, and then in fairness, sign him permanently for big money, but then again he did well in the loan spell, but he does certainly offer Celtic a different option, although when we say different option, of course he is the only like real senior natural striker these days since Kyogo's gone, but I mean Maida does perform that role pretty well filling in.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, I was just going to say another thing. I think you've got to sort of remember Ida's age as well.
He's
Obviously,
23, isn't he?
I think he just turned 24 today, actually. So yeah, you've got to take that into consideration. They signed Arne Engels, and everyone's going, "Oh, well, he's a young player; he's going to develop." Adam Ida's only just turned 24, so there's still a lot of growing space there.
You
Obviously,
forget because he's kind of burst onto the scene and he's been there or
yeah,
thereabouts for a long time. He's one of the ones where one of the younger players who have been like you've heard about him since he was like 17, 18, and you think, oh, he must be older because you feel like he's been around for ages, but he's actually not.
yeah. I think if Celtic are to do anything in this tie or compete with Bayern Munich, he'll definitely have a big part to play.
Definitely.
Yes, I think that's when football fans has got. I wouldn't like to say a bit snobby because it's not because that you haven't heard of the guy. It doesn't mean to say he's a bad player. I mean, look at him last when they came in. He gave the ball away for the Hibs goal, and everybody was writing him off. Now he's got a book out. You know what I mean? And and you could say that about. A lot of players in the Premier League. So just because like you don't hear of them or making the headlines, scoring goals every week, doesn't mean to say that he's a bad player.
Yeah, definitely. I think we'll just move on to predictions to finish off the podcast. I'll come to you guys first, then I'll give mine at the end. Laurie, what's your prediction for Celtic's home tie versus Bayern Munich?
I'm gonna try and be optimistic. I'll say 1-1. Celtic 1, Bayern 1.
Okay, Ethan?
My heart's saying 2-1 Celtic, my head's saying 3-1 Bayern. So I'm going to go with my heart. I'm going to go with Celtic to beat Bayern Munich 2-1 at Celtic Park.
Okay. Michael?
I was going to go for one each, but I suppose I better go for a different score now, because I will go for a 1-0 Celtic win tomorrow night.
Yeah. I'm going to bring down all this optimism. I'm going to go with 4-0 with Bayern Munich. I just think they're. This might sound like a bit of Rangers fan, but I just think they're just better than anything we can offer in Scotland, and I think they will run over the.
Here's an interesting question. What is there a disparage between Bayern Munich and Celtic or Rangers and Queen's Park?
I think it's close.
Actually, probably is.
I think it is close. It's like Bayern Munich if they were Celtic, or Rangers. If Bayern Munich were Rangers, you guys probably would be Queen's Park in terms of finances and football and quality of football. So, I but yeah, I'm hoping Schmeichel doesn't have an all-time goalkeeping performance, but or is he got a shoulder injury or a back injury or something, or is he going to be
No,
okay?
he's back now. He did miss the
He's back,
weekend, but
yeah.
he's back.
Yeah.
Right, so that's it from our predictions, and that'll be us for the podcast. We'll wrap it up. Thank you to Ethan and Laurie, as usual, and a big thank you to our special guest, Michael McEwan. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah.
It was good to have you. Okay, make sure to like and subscribe. Follow our Twitter at the Dugout 2024. Goodbye.